Welcome to the Four Bells and Workout from Home number 97. Today we've got ourselves a glorious leg day in the books. We're going to look at doing some development for the posterior chain, as well as some mobility for the ankles, as well as some unilateral work. There's a whole ton of stuff going on. So, to get us started today, we're going to do one of my favourite warm-ups. And because one of my favourite warm-ups now means it's one of your favourite warm-ups, we are going to do 5 minutes of Turkish Get-Up practice. I love the Turkish Get-Up because it features 3 things that everybody needs more of. Shoulder stability, deep transverse core activation, which basically means your deep abdominal wall gets strong and helps stabilize your spine, and hip mobility. Nobody needs less stable shoulders, weaker abs and tighter hips. We all need more and better versions of those things. So we're going to do a 5-minute practice. We're going to do 1 rep, which is from the floor to standing and back down. We're going to go from 1 rep on one side to the other. And your gamble, and I suppose adventure today is, what's the most creative thing you can use for your Turkish Get-Up? Whatever it happens to be, take a picture, a little video. We want to see it. 5 minutes of Turkish Get-Up practice. Let's take a look at it. With your Turkish Get-Ups today, we're going to do 1 per side for 5 minutes and try to either increase the weight if you have increased weights available to you, or increasing weights available to you, or some kind of odd object. So we've got everything from cats to drum kits being used, so feel free to get creative. When it comes to our Turkish Get-Up, we have 6 steps, which means we start with our support side. My right arm is straight, my right leg is bent to 90 degrees, and I've got a nice firm foundation. Left arm and left leg out to 45, and my first step is rolling over onto my left elbow. From there, up onto the left hand, right hip up, left leg sweeps through, lunge position. From there we stand up, left leg comes back, left hand comes down, left leg kicks through, bum down, elbow down, lay down. That is 1 rep on one side. We're going to do 1 rep on both sides if we can. Get a little bit heavier or use some funky objects. Today's strength piece features 4 sets. Each set is 4 minutes and 30 seconds long, split into 3 exercises over 90 seconds per exercise. So the idea is our first 90 seconds is going to be the Jefferson Curl. So taken from gymnastics, this is a rounded back deadlift, a way of training the spinal erectors and the whole spine in a way that is safe. Also means you don't have to go super heavy, but it also helps promote flexibility as well. We are going to do 10 reps of the Jefferson Curl at a 2-0-2-0 tempo, which is a fancy way of saying we're going to take 2 seconds to go down and then 2 seconds to go up. With the Jefferson Curl today, a lot of it is going to be based on flexibility through the posterior chain. So if you are very tight, the good news about the Jefferson Curl is it can help promote flexibility, but it also means that we don't have to go super heavy if you are tight. So bear that in mind. From there, we're going to get into a split squat in our second 90 seconds today. We're going to do 8 reps on our weaker or tighter side, and then 8 reps on our stronger side. The idea today is we're going to start with just body weight, and if we are feeling good, we're going to hold some dumbbells or some weights to the side and see if we can make things a little bit heavy. From there, last but not least, our last 90 seconds is going to be single leg deadlifts, looking at stability and posterior chain development in a single leg. So single leg hinging is the aim of the game. We're going to do 8 reps on our least stable side, 8 reps on our more stable side, and we are going to do these 3 things 4 times in the strength piece today. The Jefferson Curl is kind of got a look about it that it could be dangerous. You are essentially doing a rounded back deadlift. It's been proven now several times in science that if we add just not crazy heavy weights, we can perform a Jefferson Curl quite safely, and it can not only improve flexibility but also the integrity of our spine. So you can do your Jefferson Curls with 2 dumbbells or 2 kettlebells. I'm just going to demonstrate with 1. I'll roll that guy out of the way. I'm just going to hold on to the end of my dumbbell here, and what I'm trying to do, keeping my legs as straight as possible, is round the spine. So that means chin to the chest, keeping my chest as close to my thighs as possible. I come down, touch the toes, and then smoothly curl back up. Of course, if you're super flexible and you can go beyond the toes and you want to stand on a small step and go further than that, feel free to do so. Either way, we're going to do 10 reps of a Jefferson Curl. With the split squat, it's different than a lunge. In a lunge, we're moving forwards, we're moving backwards. With the split squat, I'm in a stationary, fixed base of support, and I'm going to try and push the shin forwards, get the hips as low as possible to really emphasize quad development as well as ankle dorsiflexion. So what I'm going to try and do is just set up as if I was doing a reverse lunge. So I step back into almost like I was going to do a reverse lunge. From here, keeping the torso nice and upright, I'm going to allow my front shin to track forwards, get that knee as close to the floor as I can, and then push back up. Shin comes forwards, touch the knee down, and come back up. If you find the front heel wants to lift off a little bit, not the end of the world, but we're going to try and keep that that heel as flat as possible. We're going to do 8 reps on one side, and then 8 reps on the other. For the single leg deadlift, we are looking at a Romanian deadlift position, but just on one leg. So that means I'm focusing on pushing the hips back, getting a big stretch and a load through the hamstring and glutes, and then driving it forwards. Of course, we're going to be on one leg. So that means I'm going to push that hip back, load the hamstring, load the glute, bring the torso parallel, and then squeeze the glutes as I come through. I can use the non-working leg as like a little stabilizer when I come in, but I'm focusing on loading the hamstring, loading the glute, and that is our single leg deadlift. For our conditioning piece today, we have a 12-minute AMRAP, which means 720 seconds of joy, where we are going to cycle through these 5 movements, well technically 3, done a couple of times, these 5 pieces as many times as possible in 12 minutes. We start off today with a movement we have never done in a conditioning piece before, the muscle snatch, taking one dumbbell from the floor to overhead in a fluid and beautiful movement. We are going to do 5 dumbbell muscle snatches on one side, 5 on the other. From there, I'm going to take myself into a bit of a Turkish Get Up lunge combo movement. I am going to do 2 Turkish Get-Ups, so from the floor to standing and back down. When I get to the top of my Turkish Get-Up and I stand up, we are then going to do 5 reverse overhead lunges on one side. So I do 2 Turkish Get-Ups with a reverse lunge, I then come back down to the floor, and then switcheroo to the other side where I'm going to do 2 Turkish Get-Ups again. At the top of my second Turkish Get-Up is where I do 5 reverse lunges before returning to the floor one more time. We are going to do these things as many times as possible in a 12-minute AMRAP today. For the muscle snatch, we are trying to get our dumbbell from the floor to overhead in one smooth motion. So it starts with a deadlift position, which means my feet are a little bit wide, my dumbbell is down here on the ground. What I need to think about is that I'm loading the hamstring, loading the glutes, and my intention should be is I'm almost trying to jump the weight up. So as I stand up, we're looking for triple extension, which means ankles open, knees open, hips open. We're trying to explode as if I was doing a jump up. So as soon as that weight gets to about chest height, it's a muscle snatch, which means I'm not going to drop onto the dumbbell. I'm going to use my arm to turn that weight over and punch it overhead. So we start from the floor, hip drive, turn it over, lock it out, back to the floor. Hip drive, and up, and then back to the floor. Once I've done 5 on one side, 5 on the other. So we've done our dumbbell muscle snatches, and now we're going to get into our little superset between Turkish Get-Ups and overhead reverse lunges. So we're supposed to do 2 Turkish Get-Ups first, but let's say I've already done 1, which means I've gone up to standing and I've come back down. On our second Turkish Get-Up, we are then going to do our overhead lunges, which means I'm going to roll onto my elbow, up onto my hand, hips up, leg through, and then when I've stood up, I'm going to keep this arm overhead, the left leg stays planted, and I'm going to do 5 reverse lunges on my left side. And once I've done 5, I then come back down from whence I came, and I move over to the other side for my 2 Turkish Get-Ups and my 5 overhead reverse lunges. Easy to write, not so easy to say. That's what we're going to do for our 12-minute AMRAP today. 5 per side of a dumbbell muscle snatch, 2 Turkish Get-Ups left, 5 overhead lunges left, 2 Turkish Get-Ups right, 5 overhead lunges right. Woo! Enjoy yourselves. have fun, and let us know how you get on.